You may be forgiven for not knowing it, but today is yet another election day in Michigan. Some 64 local governments and schools are holding elections today. The fact that you do not know this puts you in good company. 95% of your fellow citizens are likewise unaware and won't vote today. Many clerks expect turnout of even less than 5%. You might ask, in the face of huge deficits and cuts to locals, why would we maintain such a wasteful and duplicative calendar of elections? No good reason. Unless you think manipulating, gerrymandering, stealth, waste, fraud, and abuse are core democratic values. If these are not your principles, then I ask you to join my call for House and Senate hearings on election redesign and consolidation. These times call for bold action, but the legislature has been timid on reform. It is time for a comprehensive redesign of elections in Michigan. We should hold all general elections once a year in November, but that's only a start. Let's reorganize the entire system. Let's hold all state and federal elections in even years and hold all local and education elections in odd-numbered years. Special elections could appear on the November ballot of either year. Now, perhaps you are cautious. Perhaps you do not wish to ruffle the feathers of education boosters or those who perceive an advantage with the status quo. Maybe you like the way things are going in Michigan right now. But I tell you, the status quo isn't working and we must change. Senate Bill 888 is one example of robust election reform that represents a major departure from current practice. It would be welcomed by local clerks who run our irrational and chaotic system. It would save money, increase efficiency, and raise voter participation while reducing errors and fraud. There is no added value to holding 4 elections each year. Election inflation actually cheapens democracy. True reform would end the abuse of stealth recall elections, where 10% of the electorate could overturn the will of 51% of the voters. If local elections were all held on the same date, school districts that contain both cities and townships would finally have their elections at no cost. And by the way, those odd-year local elections would continue to be nonpartisan. The clerks that run these elections should all be nonpartisan. The arguments against reform are familiar. Some school boosters prefer a stealth election in February because stingy seniors may be away in Florida. They believe they have a better chance of passing bond or millage elections if only school people know about the election. I can't believe that people have the nerve to publicly argue such a position. It is a cynical repudiation of the very concept of democracy. Why don't these apologists just come out and say they prefer Russian democracy to American? Seize this opportunity to make government efficient. Transparent government holds regular elections on a known set schedule and does away with abuses like stealth elections. Election redesign and consolidation saves money by piggybacking elections on dates a regular election is already held. At a time when we are cutting both revenue sharing to local governments and aid to schools, shouldn't we insist that scarce dollars not be wasted on duplicative, inefficient, and redundant elections? In the name of democracy, shouldn't we concentrate elections on the date with the highest turnout? Shouldn't we balance voting annually between state and federal offices in one year, followed by education and local elections in the next? Please visit my desk and sign my call for election redesign and reform that requests the legislature to hold hearings on election consolidation. And, Mr. President, if you would please print my remarks in the journal.